We grew watermelons for the first time during the summer. However, the watermelons turned out to be quite small. I then realized that growing watermelons properly is no easy task. Nevertheless, I decided to plant them again. Although the fruit was small, it tasted good. Consequently, I decided to plant them once more at the beginning of the year. Incidentally, I had some leftover seeds from the previous year. I germinated them using a moisture retention method. About half a month later, only 2 sprouts emerged. However, I didn't use both of them, as I intended to grow only a single plant. Initially, I planted it in a small pot. Once the plant had grown a little larger, I transferred it to a bigger pot. 2 months later, the plant had developed 4 to 5 leaves. At that point, I transplanted it into a large pot, one that was significantly bigger than the previous one. I reasoned that the larger the pot, the better it would be for the plant. After planting it, I also constructed a support stand for it. 12 days after planting, a small fruit appeared on the vine. However, within just a few days, it withered away. Fortunately, a second fruit appeared later on. I couldn't figure out why they kept drying up repeatedly. I then added some fertilizer to the soil. Finally, on the 5th attempt, a flower bloomed. I was concerned that the bees weren't pollinating it effectively, so I performed the pollination myself. This time, the fruit did not wither. Instead, it began to grow gradually. I felt that it was now ready. Later, its leaves began to turn slightly yellow, and the fruit stopped increasing in size. I concluded that it had ripened. Finally, I harvested it. Although this year's watermelon wasn't massive, it was considerably larger than the one I had grown previously. I even weighed it. It came in at approximately 4 kilograms. When I attempted to cut it open, it actually split apart on its own. Internally, it looked fine, though it felt a bit firm to the touch. The flesh in the center wasn't quite as crisp as expected. It would have been better had I harvested it about 10 days earlier. Nevertheless, its taste was still sweeter than that of the watermelons available in the market. If you also want to grow huge watermelons like these, right at home, then subscribe to the channel and make sure to write watermelon odds.